G'day, it's Steve here and welcome to Fortress Learning. In this bite-sized tutorial, I'm going to talk about the information processing theory and how it can be used by teachers and trainers to enhance the skills and knowledge retention of their learners to achieve greater learning outcomes. Information processing theory was first introduced by psychologists in America in the 1950s. The theory focuses on the way the human brain processes and stores information from initial exposure to learning content or stimuli through to long-term memory storage and retrieval. The information processing cycle begins with the learner being exposed to the learning content through a variety of different sensory stimuli. Though much of the sensory information will be lost almost immediately, the most relevant information is transferred to the short-term or working memory where it needs to be rehearsed and practiced. Again, at this stage, any unused information will be lost and forgotten. This is the point in the process where the learner makes sense of the information before it is sent to the long-term memory for storage. The short-term memory process also involves retrieving previously stored information and making connections that grow the knowledge base. Any information that becomes superseded through this process may ultimately be lost as it's no longer needed. It's a bit like putting together a never-ending jigsaw puzzle where each new piece enhances and builds on the previously constructed picture. The new information links with the previously stored information to further build and enhance on the knowledge bank. When it comes to putting information processing theory into practice, there's a few important things to remember that will assist with the learner's retention of information and ultimately lead to enhanced learning outcomes. There's a limit to the amount of information that a learner can be expected to take in and process at any one time. It's important not to overwhelm the learners with too much content, or the majority of the information will be lost and forgotten. If the information you're delivering is broken down into smaller, more digestible chunks, it's more likely that the learner will have greater retention because they'll have time to practice and process each step before moving on to the next. It's equally important to ensure that the chunks of information are delivered in a logical sequence so that each new piece of information makes sense and can be linked to previous information learned. If the chunks of information are presented to the learners in a random order, the learners may not be able to make the connections, causing some of the information to be unnecessarily lost. As well as making connections between new chunks of information and what has already been learned, contextualization through the use of real-life situations, scenarios, and the learner's own previous experiences will provide the learner with meaning and relevance that will help them to more efficiently process the newer information and successfully store it in their long-term memory. Not everyone responds to the same kind of learning stimuli, so it's important to ensure the use of multisensory resources when delivering content. This may include, for example, providing the learners with a physical example of what they will be learning about, such as a piece of equipment or a product sample. This will allow the learners to use the see, touch, and smell senses to get an overall idea of the big picture. This can then be supported orally through explanation and the use of other images, texts, and diagrams that present the information visually. Learners will remember the information via the senses that engage them the most. In summary, successful implementation of the information processing model involves the learning content being broken down into small chunks and delivered to the learners in a logical sequence. The delivery must incorporate links between what has been previously learned, real-world examples, and of course the learner's own previous experiences. Additionally, learning resources should be presented using a variety of multisensory stimuli to accommodate different learning styles. When implemented correctly, these factors will help ensure that learners gain a solid understanding of the content they're presented with that can be more efficiently processed from the sensory input stage through to encoding it into their long-term memory and accurately recalling the knowledge to use or build on as needed. Thanks for watching, and if a career as a trainer in vocational education is something you're interested in, contact Fortress Learning to see just how you can get started.